Okay, baby, you're officially off the internet. I love you. All right. I think I'm live. I've spent the last 45 minutes working out how to do this, and I hope I've got it right. I think the streaming speed, it looks like I'm slow, or it looks like there's a lot of lag, but hopefully the audio is clear, and that's what's more important. So as long as the audio is clear, then we are all good. So, in saying that, I am just going to wait for you guys to get online, and then I'll keep talking. Alright. And we're waiting. And we're waiting. I will, I'm going to be posting this stream into the... Hey, Damo is here! I'm going to be posting this stream into our Patreon feed afterwards. So even if people are not here, they're welcome to go and watch it. Hey, Damo, is there a lot of lag? Is my voice clear? Just wanted to double check. On my screen it looks very jumpy, and I can't have audio on because then there'll be this horrible feedback where it's like, you know, you'll hear my speakers, it'll be like this horrible feedback loop. A bit of image lag, cool. But the audio, okay, good. All right, well, as long as the voice is clear, that's good. Okay, so before, good for taking screen grabs, don't you dare. Okay, guys, really quickly, is there anyone that is on a time constraint? Because what I was hoping to do with this video is to basically just answer your questions in a live format, you know, like to have like a Q&A in which you guys can get direct feedback. But if there's anyone who, for example, is on a lunch break at work or is on a time constraint, you shoot your questions right now, so we can get those done before you have to go back to work or go to bed wherever you are. But otherwise, we'll just roll on. You know, guys, if you like, just pop your questions down, and I'll just start talking. And I'm waiting for the questions. Who's going to throw out the questions first? Look at Erin working away in the background. Okay, Oliver. So yeah, me and Oliver were having this conversation in private messages. So Oliver, correct me if I'm wrong, but the issue so far is when you Frenzal, you find that you're not able to bring up air, or you're not able to hold air in your mouth to keep equalizing. Now, really quick, what depth does this happen at? Because if we know what depth this happens at, we'll have a better idea of what's going on. And can you describe what's going on in the sense that, are you bringing air up trying to Frenzal but finding that you don't have any air to Frenzal with, or are we getting to a certain depth and you are simply losing the air out of your mouth and not able to bring it back up? Mm-hmm. Now, just so we can rule some things out, you obviously, now you're having no other issues with equalization, as in you're not finding that before 8 meters your ears get stuck, or there's any difficulty or challenge with equalizing. I start with air from the surface and would expect to have enough to get to 10 or so, yeah, or 20 meters. Okay, cool. So, Oliver, do you refill the air in your mouth to keep frenziling? Your ears are sticky. In general, yeah. Do you know actually the best exercise for that? I know I've actually talked about this in one of my equalization videos on YouTube, but the best exercise in general to unstick sticky ears, because so often the issue with sticky ears is just a lack of flexibility. Or, for example, if you do have like a deviated septum, if you do have any issues with your airways or the air in your nasal cavity in general, basically what's going on is, like, okay, for example, let's say you have a deviated septum, or let's say you just have a tricky airway. What will happen is that you will find it more challenging to put the required amount of air into your nasal cavity to create enough pressure to equalize the ears, right? To push open the eustachian tubes. But so in many ways, those who have issues with their airways or their nasal cavity need to learn to be better equalizers than most, just to equalize the same. And they need to develop a greater level of flexibility in their eustachian tubes to equalize the same as, you know, someone who doesn't have any issues at all. And the way that we do that is by increasing the flexibility of the eustachian tubes. So you simply you'll require less pressure to open the tubes and equalize the middle ear. So the best exercise in general that you can be doing, now this is separate than what we're going to work on. This is something that you should just be doing anyway, is once a day you go through a series of 5 equalizations. The first one, you equalize just gently enough to open up the eustachian tubes and equalize the middle ear. The second one, you do it slightly stronger and you hold it for a little bit longer. The third one, you do it stronger and you hold it for a little bit longer. I'm just reading your thing. Sorry, the fourth one, you do it stronger, like relatively strong, and you hold for a few seconds. And the fifth one, you equalize as strong as you can without experiencing discomfort, and you hold it for about 3 to 5 seconds. Now I'm just reading a comment. My ENT says everything looks good. I have no trouble equalizing at the surface, by the way. Yep. YouTube is throttling my comments. Also, I tried refill, but that air seems to disappear too. Cool. Also, just wanted to let you know, Mitch, I've seen your comment. We'll get to you very shortly. We'll get to you next, right? We'll just take care of Oliver for a second. Also, I've tried to refill, but there's something. Okay. So number one, because you have sticky ears in general, and the ENT says you have no issues with the nasal passage, that would really leave the only issue being, if it's not a technical issue with the way that you're equalizing, it would leave the only issue being that you have tight eustachian tubes, in which that exercise is going to help them open up so much. Now you do those 5 equalizations in a row, you do those for about 10 minutes, taking breaks in between them, so like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, you might be a bit dizzy or lightheaded after the big strong one at the end. So, you know, take 10, 20, 30 seconds to rest and then go again. You do that for about 10 minutes and your flexibility in your ears will increase dramatically. Now, as for why you're having issues holding air in the mouth, this is something that is a little bit different. So when it comes to equalization issues, because I will never be able to look inside your mouth as you're descending on a dive and trying to equalize, what we need to do is go through a series of exercises which I suppose serve it's like a process of elimination until we work out which one is the actual issue. So, are you able to open and close your vocal fold quite easily? Are you able to open your mouth, stick your tongue out wide, and then control the flow of air that's exiting your lungs? So Is that an exercise that you find easy and that you have no issues with whatsoever? Okay. What I want you to do now is I want you to put your hand with all your fingers together like this on your throat so that you're feeling your Adam's apple move up and down. And I want you to equalize like normal. So do a Frenzel equalization. Now what you're looking for here is your Adam's apple simply rising and then relaxing, rising, then relaxing, or is there more movement? Is there a thing where your Adam's apple is rising and then dropping down a little bit and then relaxing? Because if there is more movement than the simple rise, relax, then we are going to assume that you are also swallowing, because swallowing is something that a lot of people who initially think they're doing Frenzel are actually doing. Some people they're like, okay, cool, I've got this Frenzel technique, but really what's going on is they're just swallowing. And that, it's interesting that you say that you get stuck at 8 odd meters, because that is pretty much the depth that things like swallowing will fail at. Usually about 5 actually, usually between 5 and sort of 10 meters, the swallowing and things like that won't take you any deeper. And if you're finding that you are struggling to hold air into in the mouth when you're going down equalizing, we need to work out if you are in fact swallowing the air and not actually frenzeling. So do that exercise right now and pay attention to the way that your Adam's apple and your throat muscles move up and down around your fingers, and you should be able to feel it in your fingers. Is it moving up then relaxing, or is it moving up and then also coming down with a little bit of force like it would for a swallow and then relaxing? Now while Oliver is doing that, Mitch, Mitch, we were also having a conversation in the private messages. Mitch, your issue is, now I obviously that was a little bit ago, so now, or a few days ago really. So your issue from memory was you were doing a 6 in 12 out breathe up, but you were still getting dizzy and lightheaded from it, and the question was, are you hyperventilating? So basically what we need to work out is what volume of gas you are inhaling and exhaling as you are doing your 6 in 12 out breathe up. So just got Oliver's comment, cool. So Mitch, what I want you to do now, so I'm going to go back and forth between you guys. While I'm chatting with Oliver now, I would like you to do a 2-minute breathe up, and I want you to feel exactly how much, try to pinpoint the volume of gas that you're inhaling. Are you fully inhaling into the stomach, fully inhaling to the chest? I want you to get a really solid idea of exactly how much you're actually breathing. What percentage of your full breath, of your total lung capacity, are you filling up for this breathe up? And I've just come back to Oliver, and Oliver says, Dennis, I've just got your comment, by the way, we'll get to you shortly. So Oliver says, yes, it seems to rise and relax. Okay. Ta-da-dum. So now Oliver, this is obviously something that I would be more able to help you if I could see you doing this. So even though we're going to keep talking now, what I would love you to do, I'm not sure if we can do this on Patreon. Are you able to film a little video of yourself equalizing and then just private message it to me on Patreon? Let's go. I'm going to go into the messages now on Patreon and just see if I could send a video in that area. Or if we're on Facebook, can you... Yeah, we're friends on Facebook, right? Good. Oliver, let's do this now. So, Oliver, if you can, could you please send me a little video of you, like just get your phone out and just film you equalizing and send that to me on Facebook, and then we can work from there, because I would actually love to see it now. It will give me a much better understanding of what's going on if I can see the movement. What I want to see is actually if you can get it side on. So I want to be able to see what's going on in your in your nose. So try to pinch your nostrils down at the very bottom so I can see how strong your nostrils are flaring. And then make sure in that video you capture the movement of the throat. So side on would be best. Send that to me now on Facebook. If we're not friends on my personal page, send it to me on my Adam Stone Freediver page, and then I'll have a look at that, and then we can keep rolling on. So if you start that now, I'll move on to other guys, and we'll come back and forth. This will be good because like we can all be working on exercises as we're all answering all the different questions. So Mitch, you should be just about ready, I think, to let us know how your breathing was going. But in the meantime, I'm going to read Dennis's comment here. So, hands-free equalization, was watching the YouTube video a few times, but still don't understand where exactly the soft palate should be. Should I block the throat? Is the air from the lungs or from the mouth? So Dennis, with hands-free equalization, the air is from the mouth. So it's very similar to Frenzel, in fact. Think of it this way. With Frenzel, you are locking off, you're closing the throat, so you're locking off the bottom of the throat. You're placing your tongue up against the roof of the mouth, so you're locking off the front of the mouth. And with the back of the tongue, you're pumping it up and down to create pressure in the nasal cavity. But to create pressure in the nasal cavity, you are going to need to pinch your nose so that the pressure gets trapped in the nasal cavity. Now, what separates no hands equalization from Frenzel is with a certain movement of the soft palate, you're able to open the eustachian tubes voluntarily, so they part on them by themselves, which means you don't need to create as much pressure in the nasal cavity, because you're not needing to create enough pressure to push them open. They're open already, and you're just pushing a little bit of air that will normally or naturally just seep into the middle ear. So it is very much very similar to Frenzel, but because we're still doing the same throat pump. We're still pumping the same way with the throat with no hands. Still lifting the back of the tongue, lifting up the throat. The only difference is we're not pinching the nose, and we're assisting the opening of the eustachian tubes by moving our soft palate in a way that pulls open the tubes. Okay, so let me just get back, Dennis. Let me just get back to Mitch, and I will continue answering your question in a second. I got that message from Oliver. Thank you, Oliver. Oliver, let me just answer Mitch's question, and I'll watch that video. Okay. Damien Papworth. Damo, yeah, definitely. I feel like the only way I'll be able to help you with your question is if I have a video of you doing no fins in Speedos. Nothing else except Speedos. Yeah, I'd say. Okay, so Mitch has said, I'm filling my stomach and a tiny bit in my lungs with air when I breathe up. Okay, so that's the right amount, right? This is what we should be doing. You should fill up the stomach and then a tiny bit into the chest. Now, Mitch, when you did that breathe up just now, did you feel dizzy or lightheaded? Oh, so while Mitch is writing, Dennis, yes, so Dennis, that's often the case. I think people assume they need to be creating a lot of pressure with no hands equalization, or it's actually very gentle. The trick is that it just takes a long time. Like there's no way to get around it. It just takes weeks or it takes months to actually really develop the strength and the coordination with the soft palate to open it in the way that will open the tubes. So I think the key with learning how to no hands equalize is to not ever get disheartened when, 3 weeks or 3 months have gone by and you're still like, I can't do this thing. And obviously the more you dive, the more you can apply it to a diving situation, and the better it gets. So definitely, it seems like what you're doing is correct, and you just need to spend the time, the time working with it. Now I'm going to watch Oliver's video, and we're waiting for Mitch's response to how he felt during that 2-minute breathe up period. Oliver, do you mind if I put your video on the live stream? One sec, maybe not. I'll watch it myself. Okay. Beautiful. So guys, I've just watched Oliver's video. Thank you for sending that through, Oliver. Oliver, what you're doing, the equalizing that you're doing, isn't actually Frenzal. Yeah, no shame left. Okay, I would love you guys to have a look at this actually, because it's beneficial for everyone as a learning experience, right? I'm just going to turn this around. It's just playing on my phone. Oh. Just going to play that again, just so you can have. I want everyone to look at what's going on in Oliver's throat. Now, I'm not sure if you can see all that. I'm not sure if you can see all that with because we've got a laggy video stream. So Oliver, what you're actually doing is this. You're holding your tongue in the correct position, in the front of your tongue. You are holding the front of your tongue in the correct position, but instead of lifting the back of the tongue upwards to create pressure, you are driving it backwards, and it's very hard to differentiate the two if that feels normal for you. Because and the reason that I can tell is because I can see your jaw muscles. Well, they're not actually your jaw muscles. I can see the muscles underneath your jaw tense as your tongue presses them backwards. If you are doing Frenzal, that won't happen. Now, I wish I'd shaved so you can see my throat moving better, but if you're doing Frenzal, your jaw, so you won't see the muscles underneath the jaw, the throat here, bunch up. You'll just see it lift up. Now what I actually might do, I'm going to send you a video of me Frenzaling for our little chat. Because I don't think this, I think this live stream is a bit too laggy. So really quick, just for you all, and then we can talk some more. Look at my throat. Look at my throat when I'm doing. Look at my throat when I'm doing this. I'm doing this. Cool. Have a look at Oliver. Watch that video. And then I'll talk to you in a second. I'm just going to jump back to Mitch. Mitch just said, no, I felt fine with the breathe up, and when I was doing my just my main concern was the contractions came so much later. That's right, cool. Okay, so let's talk about why the contractions come later when we're breathing like this. Primarily, here's the thing. Your body is picking up on CO2 levels in the lungs, right? So let's say now that let's say before we were just we're doing breath holds, and we just take a big breath into our chest. The issue with that is that that's not the maximum amount of air that you can put into your lungs. So it means that there is less CO2 required to enter the lungs that then is that triggers the urge to breathe. For example, like, you know, you require a lesser amount of carbon dioxide to create a higher percentage of CO2 in the lungs. So the body's like, oh, you know, like we have a lot of CO2 in here, we should give that person the urge to breathe. Whereas if you have more air in the lungs, there is more air for the CO2 to mix into, to be diffused into, to be filtered into. So your body requires, or you know, your lungs require more CO2 in them to hit that same percentage. So I think in this case, Mitch, if you are not feeling dizzy or lightheaded, if you are not feeling uncomfortable with the breathe up, if you're finding that the breathe up is very relaxing, but you're taking a larger final breath and you're getting the urge to breathe significantly later, I think that's fantastic. I think it's probably mostly to do with the size of the final breath and the fact that there's a lot more a lot more gas in the lungs for the carbon dioxide to mix into before you actually are experiencing the urge to breathe. So does that make sense? I feel like that's the key, because from what you're describing, you're not inhaling and exhaling too much during your 16-12 out. From what you're describing, you are not like the speed is slow. Like a 16-12 out is a slow breathe up. So you're a person that I'm assuming has a relatively high natural tolerance to carbon dioxide. So I think that's great. So I think that in this case, what you're doing is great. And I think the size of the final breath is what's postponing the urge to breathe for you for so long. Which, brother, I say high five to you. Good work. Do you have any other questions about that topic at this point in time? Because I'm going to shuffle back to Oliver. Only because equalization problems are the hardest ones to answer. Equalization problems take the most time to really work out, you know. So Oliver, do you have any? Well, you've watched the video I sent to you. The next step for you, Oliver, actually is going to be this. Are you able to lift and drop your throat muscles and your tongue? So the way, I'm just reading all, yep, cool, so your video seems a bit different. I think I can mimic what you're doing. Curious, what does your hands free look like? Could I be doing that or a hybrid? So Oliver, I don't think you're doing a hybrid. I think in this case, I'm not sure what's going on with your soft palate, but in this case, I would love to tell you, Oliver, that you are naturally doing hands-free, but I think in this case, yeah, you're just doing a movement that's not correct. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I wanted to give you like some like awesome news. Oh, good, Mitch, good. Mitch, I'm so happy that makes sense. I'm so happy that makes sense. Brother, you go free off into the world and be safe in the knowledge that you are not hyperventilating and that you're just a beast with a high CO2 tolerance and a big breath hold. So Oliver, I would love you to try to mimic what I'm doing, and if you could send me another video to that Facebook chat that we've just made. So effectively, this is the movement, and it's easier for men to watch this, to note this in themselves than for women, because we can see our Adam's apple moving up and down. So, so Oliver, yeah, whatever I'm doing, your ears are full of air. Yes, they are. That's true, because when in that video that you sent to me, your ears are equalizing, but obviously you're getting to a certain depth, and that's not happening. So this is something. This is a technique that is working for you. Very shallow, and the truth is that there are a lot of techniques that work very shallow, but they don't work deep. So we need to change the way you're moving your throat. So instead of tensing the throat, instead of tensing the tongue and driving it backwards like what you're doing, you need to keep everything relaxed. So everything around the jaw here should feel relaxed, and you're simply lifting up the throat muscles, up, down. So before I offer you some techniques that will help you try to do that, with the knowledge that what you were doing wasn't the movement that we want to do, are you able to just try for a little bit to mimic what I was doing? And if so, can you send me a video and then I can have a look at that? And if that's not working, then we'll move on into some more techniques, okay? So just, yeah, have a little practice right now on your own, send me the video, and then we'll go from there. Now, in the meantime, we're working with Oliver, we've answered Mitch's questions, Dennis's questions have been answered. I'm going to shuffle back to Damo's question, Damien Papworth, up here, who basically wanted me to watch him, wanted me to watch him do a dynamic no-fins swim in his Speedos. Okay, so let's talk about how a diver gets power in their legs for no-fins. So this is the thing now. Now, a strong no-fins kick is something that takes a fair bit of time to develop. So it is one of those things that you can't just be like, oh, you know, cool, now I know the technique, or now I know the trick, bang, everything's going to improve. Oh, my phone's just ringing. I'm going to hang that up. I've just got to write a message to my younger brother. I'm just going to write, text me, so you don't call me. So, yeah, so it will be something that you can't just snap into or jump into and you'll have instant improvement. It will be something that you develop over time. But just so you know, the speed of someone's the power that someone gets out of their no-fins kick comes from the speed, and it comes from the speed of the whip that you can swing your legs around and meet them in the middle. So it's the speed of the kick that really goes from, now if you imagine that my arms here are my legs, it's not a thing that you work with your thighs, it's a thing that you work with from the knee down. It's something that really happens from your, like, the bottom part of your legs. Now, one of the most important things that often, I think, almost everyone forgets in the beginning or doesn't take into account is that your feet are still the pedals. So even though you're whipping the whole leg, with speed to get that propulsion, your feet, they still are what is carrying or pushing you through most of the water. They have the surface area to do that. Now, if you have floppy feet on your no-fin kick, you're going to have floppy paddles that don't get you anywhere. So the key is when you do your fast whip, is you also tense your feet. Tense the feet until they reach the middle, and then relax them. Obviously, you don't want to have tense feet during your glide phase of your dynamic or your no-fin dive. So it's whip fast with the legs, tense the feet, so you're actually using them to really push the water, and then you'll see, well, you'll probably see pretty quickly that your no-fin kick will improve. But then it will be something that over time you'll notice it get better and better and better and better and better as just as time goes on, really. I'm just going to check if Oliver has sent me a video. Not yet. He's still working away. That's all good. Does anybody have any other questions at all? So at this point in time, we are questionless. Shoot me a question right now, and I will start talking. I'm going to eat a mint. Dennis. Okay, Dennis. This is actually going to be one of the next videos I'm going to make. Let's talk about it now, but I'm going to, in 1 week, or less than 1 week, I'm going to be training in Indonesia, and the facility I'm training in has their own private 25-meter pool, which means, because at the moment I'm in Australia, so it can be hard for me to make videos about pool training because it's always public pools, and they usually don't like it when you go and film in the public pools, you know what I mean? It makes people uncomfortable. So I planned to film all those videos in about a week or two when I'm there and getting, I start training, getting into the role of it, about, pool training. But we'll talk about it now anyway, just so you know that those videos are coming, and they're going to be one of the next videos I make, so they're coming very soon. So, pool training. Let's first work out what we really need to be training. So obviously, if we are talking for beginners, we are really just talking CO2. Beginner pool training will never really train people's hypoxic threshold. It will never really improve the period of time that people can hold their breath for in terms of their maximum before they black out. So mostly what we're doing is just working on our CO2 tolerance. We are mostly just working on exercises that make us more comfortable with the urge to breathe and having contractions. Now, really quickly, before we start talking about specific exercises, it is really important that you keep your pool training fun, that the tables are always challenging but achievable, and that you're never just swimming along going, loving contractions and hating it. You know what I mean? I'm just reading. I second a question about pool training for beginners. I took the 82 star and haven't returned to depth training, but I would like to. Okay, cool, awesome, Noel. So yeah, so really quick before, just to contextualize this, we do always need to make it comfortable. I have found that over the years, watching freedivers of all levels and with my own training, that the easiest way to actually get worse at freediving is to just push yourself to train too hard, or to to be doing CO2 tables that you're not ready for, that you can't complete relatively easily. So it is really important that we do keep our pool training fun, relaxing, enjoyable, challenging at times, but challenging in a way that it's not going to break you down mentally. Challenging in a way that you never really have moments that you're thinking, oh God, I don't want to be here, I don't want to do this. Now, in saying that, Damo, who is here on this live chat as well, and one of our patrons, came and did a training session with me a few weeks ago, and we weren't really sure what he would be able to handle, and we gave him a table that was just, it was very hard. I apologize, Damo. We broke him. almost broke him. Okay, so let's talk. I've just gotten. Yep. Okay. I've just checked the update from Oliver. Oliver is still working with his equalizing, trying to develop coordination. It can take some time to get the coordination moving properly, and the easiest way is just sit there looking in the mirror, or looking into a camera, or you can do it on your phone and just working with it until things start to move properly. So I'm going to throw out a few exercises. And these things are scalable, as in, if you're able to do this easily, you simply play with the times or the distances. So the first exercise is this. I really don't like CO2 tables, especially in the beginning, where people have to go at a very specific time, or you're counting down times, okay? So for example, there is a classic kind of CO2 table structure where it's like, okay, we're going to swim, okay, let's just, this kind of thing. We're going to swim 8 laps of 25 meters, starting with 1 minute 30 recovery, and we'll take away 10 seconds after every swim. Now, the reason why I don't like that is because the first 4 or 5 swims won't really be training you. They won't really be challenging at all. And all you're doing is just swimming to the point where, you do a few challenging tables, swims at the end, and then that's it. So I think it is so much better to, for example, let's do something along the lines of 10 laps of 25 meters, and you choose a recovery time that you're going to be able to manage throughout the whole thing. The recovery time never changes, but is also relatively challenging. So, for example, a really good, sorry, I just hiccuped and burped. A really good starting time would be somewhere around 45 odd seconds. For when we're beginning, we'll say, okay, so we're going to do 10 laps. This is a table that I think is really good. 10 laps of 25 meters with 45 seconds recovery after every lap. Now, what you'll find will happen is, keep in mind, 2 things happen as we do a lot of breath holds like this. Number 1, the mammalian dive reflex will engage stronger. Number two, you become narked on CO2. So CO2 has a very strong narcotic effect on the brain, and it starts to make you dopey after a while, and it starts to make you, basically it makes you numb. You stop feeling all the pain. So usually in a table like this, the first 3 breath holds will be the hardest, and then they get easier and easier and easier the more we go through them. So you'll swim 25 meters, rest for 45 seconds. Swim 25 meters, rest for 45 seconds. And you do that 10 times. Now, when that's easy, you can choose to do one of 2 things. You can choose to decrease your recovery time, or you can choose to increase the distance that you swim. Now, if you are simply decreasing your recovery time, but only swimming 25 meters, then we are mostly targeting CO2. We are mostly targeting our body's ability to deal with carbon dioxide. If we start to increase the distance that we're swimming, eventually when we increase that distance out closer to something like more along like 40 or 50 meters for every one of these swims, we are starting to also train our body's hypoxic threshold. You see what I mean? So this one is really going to come down to you. I recommend that in the beginning you decrease the recovery time but keep the distance the same, and then when you're able to do that 10 laps of 25 with the I suppose about maybe 25 or 20 seconds, then it would be a great idea to increase the distance that you're swimming and bring the time back up. So you can go, cool, no worries, then let's start doing laps of 30 or 35 meters. And you go back and start with 45 seconds and see if you can do it. And you only move on when it's comfortable. So that's one table that we can do. So 10 laps of 25, and when we're able to do the table, we bring the recovery time down. When we've brought the recovery time down to 20 or 25 seconds and you're feeling really comfortable with it, you're going to increase the distance that you swim and reset the recovery time to 45 seconds. Now, if you find that 45-second recovery time to be challenging, start with 1 minute. Do you know, like, this is the thing with freediving training. There's no one size fits all. So it's best to understand how to train in terms of like how to make the exercises work for you, as opposed to me just saying, everyone do this table, everyone do this exercise, because that won't be the best for every diver. Okay, so we've got this going now. We've got one exercise. Here is another fun exercise that it's a little bit more sneaky in terms of how challenging it can be. It's called a Cooper test. Now, basically what you do, this is a really great indication of your overall freediving fitness. And it's a really good way to increase your CO2 tolerance, your hypoxic threshold, everything. The only thing you have to do is make sure you don't overdo it. It's called a Cooper test, and you are basically going to swim as many 25-meter laps as possible in 12 minutes. So you can only swim them in laps of 25. You can't do 50s or whatever. It's 25, you have to start breathing again. 25, you have to start breathing again. And you swim as many 25-meter laps as possible in 12 minutes. It's a really great exercise. So I'm going to give you guys now another exercise. So you'll have 3 exercises to play with, so you can rotate around those. Because you need to be able to mix it up. You need to be able to try different things. You need to go to the pool, every week and do something different. Otherwise, you're just going to hate it. And mind you, there's always, you do your training with your fins, you do your dynamic training, and you also do your no fins training. You do the same. All these things can be done exactly the same way without fins. Obviously, they're so much more challenging without fins. So, you just scale the exercise to what is appropriate for your level. So another really fun exercise is well, this is more of kind of like a basic, not a basic table. I tell you what, no, the question was recommendation for beginners. Let's keep things a little bit more relaxed. I was going to go into something probably a bit too advanced for the moment. I will obviously be making a lot of videos on pool training very soon. So this is called a pyramid table, and what you do is we're going to be doing laps of 25 meters, and you're going to start with 50 seconds recovery. So you're going to swim 25 meters, recover for 50 seconds. swim, and every time you swim, you'll take away 10 seconds until you get down to 10 seconds recovery, 10 seconds recovery. So you'll first one, swim 25 meters, recover for 50 seconds. Swim 25 meters, recover for 40. Swim 25 meters, recover for 30. Swim 25 meters, recover for 20. Swim 25 meters, recover for 10. Now, when you get down to 10, then you start going back up. Swim 25 meters, recover for 20. Swim 25, recover for 30. Swim 25, recover for 40. Swim 25, recover for 50. Now, actually, interestingly enough, the hardest part of this table is towards the end, you know, when you got like sort of, when you're going back up the pyramid. It's like an inverted pyramid, really. Because you've usually wiped yourself out on those few 25-minute swims where you only had like 20 seconds or 10 seconds recovery. And even though the swims themselves weren't so tough because it was 25 meters, you find yourself in like a deficit of recovery time. And even though you've got like, oh, okay, I've got 20 seconds now again, I've got 30 seconds or 40 seconds or 50 seconds, it's usually not enough to fully recover after having done those fast little, you know, those small recovery swims in the middle of the table. So we have our 25-meter table where we choose one set recovery and we work down with that over time. We have our Cooper test, which is when we just do maximum amount of 25-meter swims in 12 minutes. And then we have our pyramid table. So these are 3 exercises that we can go forward with now. One of the next videos that will be coming is going to be a series of big videos on pool training and things like that. So this will get a lot. I'll have a lot more stuff written down, put down for you guys. But we can start with this for now. Now, it is always really good to start a pool session, a training session, with your longest swims or your static. So if you want to do a bit of static, you do a little bit of static, and then you go into your CO2 tables. Or if you want to do your longer dynamic swims, you first start with your longer dynamic swims, and then you move into your CO2 tables. With your longer dynamic swims, once again, take them easy, make sure you're comfortable, make sure that you are enjoying them. You know, the worst thing is to like turn up at the pool and be like, oh no, I've got to do a long swim tonight. You know, that's not how you want to feel. That's not why we're training. That's not why we're freediving. So keep them relaxed, comfortable, and easy. And you'll find if you keep them relaxed, comfortable, and easy, you'll progress better over time. So you won't have any issues at all. Cool. So we're starting with longer swims or static training. Look, there is the static table. The best static table on earth is that does anyone not know of the 4-minute one? I talk about it in one of my YouTube videos. It's where you do 8 breath holds. And you have to start a breath hold every 4 minutes. If you hold your breath for 2 minutes, it means you have 2 minutes to breathe before the next one, right? So like whatever in the 4-minute blocks, whatever you held your breath for, the remaining time before the next 4 minutes is your recovery time. So if you held your breath for a minute, it means you have 3 minutes to breathe before the next one. If you hold your breath for 2 minutes, it means you get 2 minutes. And obviously you'll start, the first few will just be a little warm up, so you do smaller breath holds, and then they'll build and build and build as the table goes on. In a set, and do those in a set of 8. You know, it'll take you like almost 40 minutes. It's great. They're really good tables to do. And the key to the success of those tables is that you choose when you come up every single time. You're never getting held down. You're never forcing yourself to continue on to hit a certain time. Cool. Okay, so I've just got a question in from Josh, but Josh, just before I'm just going to watch this little video that Oliver has sent to me, and then I'll answer your question. Hey, Oliver! Okay, Oliver, very good. Now, does that feel, no, okay, 2 questions. Does that feel to you very different than what you were doing before? Because that looks correct to me. Second question, can you do the exact same thing, move your throat and your tongue and everything like that, but pinch your nose? And when you're pinching your nose, are you equalizing? So are you equalizing now when you're moving your tongue and your throat like that? And all right, so Josh has said, just a question about Sydney diving. Hey, Josh is a Sydney boy. I'm not really a Sydney boy. I'm from the Central Coast, like an hour and a half north. Just so you know. Because because I think I tell people often I'm from Sydney, just because no one will know the little town that I'm from. Okay, just a question about Sydney diving. Looking for a way to dive deeper more regularly. I can dive to 25 meters, but finding accessible spots to do this, as well as having someone to do it, is proving tough. Yes, Josh. Yes, it is. Sydney is not a deep place, isn't it? We usually have to go quite far out to find depth. So I will sometimes go with a boat. Now, I think the best thing for you is that there is... are you a part of the Sydney Freedivers and Friends Facebook group? Because if you're not, you should definitely jump on that. And there are people that organise training weekends or training times where they... there's a dam nearby. It's like a few hours drive away. The water is cold, it's dark, it's horrible, but it's like 60 meters deep in this dam, or it's like a lake nearby. And everyone heads out to this place. So you should definitely jump onto that. I'm not, but I'm not on Facebook. Ah, Josh, well that is more challenging. Okay, I'm just trying to think now. How would you get amongst all these Sydney freediving groups if you're not on Facebook? Okay, Josh, are you able to? The thing is that the Sydney Freedivers group, they train in several different places. So there's a group of people that train at Coogee Diggers Pool. There's a group of people that train at Knox Grammar Pool. So if you were to go to one of these pools, if you were to just make a Facebook account or hop on a friend's or your partner's or or someone's Facebook account and hop onto that page and just be like, hey, my name is Josh, la da da da, looking, and just give them the rundown of who you are, what you're looking for. Just get one la da da. That someone will let you know of the schedule. Someone there will be like, okay, well, look, we train at these pools at these times, maybe we're going away to do some deep diving on these days. So that you can do that. Look, I every now and again, run deeper courses in Sydney, and you'd be welcome to come along to those if you just pay like your fee on the boat. Do you know what I mean? Like if you just pay the boat fee, you can come along and dive with us. That's not a drama at all. Now there is one freediver in Sydney who is always looking for people to depth train with. He's a relatively advanced freediver, like he's a sort of he's like a 70-odd meter diver. I could hook you up with him, and then you can start training with him as well. And he knows the spots around Sydney to get depth. I think they go out in Botany Bay or somewhere like that, and they get depth there. But the conditions are never great, but you can get depth, it's Sydney. So once again, if you are, but like I don't know his phone number, I just speak with him on Facebook. So if you make a Facebook account, just for this, send me a message to my Adam Stern Freediver Facebook page, and then I can make a group chat with you guys in it, and you can start to, you can start to organise plans with him, and you can start to get involved amongst the Sydney freediving groups. That would be the best way, because I'm on the Central Coast, so I don't train depth regularly there. I actually don't train depth regularly in Australia anyway. So I can't point you in the right direction there myself, but obviously I can swing you to those guys, and they will. You can see their schedule. You can start to pair up with different people there and organise your own kind of training dives and training days with them. So I hope that helps. Noel, thank you, Adam, for your advice. Give me some. Yeah, good, awesome, Noel. Give it a crack. See how you feel. So Oliver has said yes. Still equalising when I do this, but feels much weaker, having trouble doing it consistently. I assume more practice is necessary. Absolutely, Oliver. Like when I saw you doing that, when I saw your video, the movement was correct, but it looked relatively small. So it looked like you hadn't developed the strength and the coordination with it. So I think the best thing for you now is just keep practicing it. It might be a thing that takes you 1 or 2 days to really get. it might take you 1 or 2 weeks. Does that make sense? Because it all depends on how quickly you will adapt to this new movement and this new coordination. So just make sure you're practicing it with practicing with that as much as you can. Pinching the nose, equalizing, 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 equalizing. And I promise you, if you continue down this road, you will be doing strong frenzels, and you won't have any issues at all. You won't have any issues at all. Just put the time into developing strength and coordination with this new movement. Josh, yeah, okay, thanks, sounds good. I just feel like it would improve me. Yeah, Josh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, you need a group of people that you can train with consistently. So definitely, mate, you make a Facebook page, send me a message, we'll line things up. It'll be very, very easy. Yeah, very easy to do. Okay, one sec. Oliver, does it feel like your tongue or throat is leading the movement? And that's hard to say. That's hard to say, Oliver, because everyone feels these things differently. Everyone registers these things as different sensations in the mouth. I feel like it's both. For myself, I feel like they're both happening at the same time. This might be a question that we could better answer after another few days. So you're very welcome to try this for a few days and just keep sending me videos. Just keep sending me videos to my Facebook page of you doing this, and we can keep talking there. But I think for now, what I saw in that video looked correct. You're still getting an equalization out. So I think you need to roll on from it and spend some time doing it before we change anything or try to tweak anything. Does that make sense? I feel like, we've changed a lot, and now we need to just do some repetition with what we have before we change anything else. If we even do need to change anything else, we might not. Cool? So I think work with what you have now, and then just keep sending me videos. Thanks, man. For now, Oliver, don't worry about the soft palate. If you are getting air into the nasal cavity, which you are, then you're not having an issue with the soft palate. So right now, don't worry about the soft palate at all. You just focus on what you're doing. And honestly, Oliver, I have no doubt at all that we've pretty much cracked this problem. And it will just be a matter of either a few days or a few weeks for you to really develop the coordination, to be equalizing strong, and then obviously you're not going to run into these issues as you start to go down. Dennis, do you think a mid-aged person could still dive to 100 meters after a few years of training? Dennis, yes, I do. And I do believe that because I know people who have done it. Now, a few years of training, let's say 3 years of training. I think, now, mid-aged, I'm going to assume 40s. So let's say anywhere between 40 and 50. If you are relatively fit, if you're in good shape, and you train, I mean, like, train, do you know what I mean? Like, not just like go to the pool every now and again and do a bit of depth training. I mean, like, if you dedicated those 3 years primarily to freediving training, you could definitely hit 100 meters. This is assuming you develop your technique correctly, that you have no other issues to do with, I don't know, some people take longer to learn how to mouth fill than others. Some people have issues with having lung squeezes all the way down to different depths. So this is assuming you don't run into any of these issues. Then a person who is in their middle years, as long as they are relatively fit and they dedicated like a lot of their time, like they made like the freediving their primary goal, you could dive to 100 meters in 3 years with 3 years of training, definitely. Damo, endurance. Is there specific training you do to improve endurance so that you can do more dives in a session when out on the water? Damo, this is interesting because I feel like there's like 3 different kind of categories of fitness when it comes to this kind of stuff. I feel like there's your aerobic fitness, your anaerobic fitness, and then your freediving fitness. Now, they go along in this line, as in you need to have decent aerobic fitness to have decent anaerobic fitness, and you need to have decent anaerobic fitness to have decent freediving fitness. But the issue is with freediving fitness is that you only really get that from freediving. It's not really as if, I mean, the fitter you are, obviously the easier you'll find these dives. But it's not really like, you know, you go to the gym a lot, train all these other things a lot, and you'll be able to have a longer dive sessions. Usually having those longer dive sessions over a period of time is what develops the ability to have longer dive sessions. Like, I always find that the people who have the best freediving stamina are old spear fishermen. Like your 50, 60-year-old spear fishermen who go and spend like 6 to 8 hours just out there on the water. And it's just because, like, they don't do anything. They don't do any form of training at all in the gym, anything, anywhere. They've just been diving for many years and they've been doing long days. So I think I mean, I always say there's nothing that trains freediving like freediving. You know, so I think this is especially that case. Like, if the goal is to be able to handle longer training sessions or longer fun diving sessions, you simply just gotta make your fun diving sessions longer and you'll get used to it. Dennis, thank you, Adam. Dennis is asking, I was just reading the question. Dennis is asking about Deep Week. Okay, so we have a Deep Week in April. So there's April 7 to 14. That it was full. We had one person pull out, so we have one spot for that. So there's one spot if anyone wants to come to Deep Week in April. And otherwise, me and Alexei Molchanov will be teaching Deep Week together again in August. So August 18 to 25, there'll also be a Deep Week in Bali. So it's like an 8-day training program that we all go and do. In those in those Deep Weeks, you get whatever cert you reach. So like usually if people have got no freediving certification in the 8 days, they'll get their beginner and their advanced certifications, or their level 1 and 2. If people have their level 1, they'll usually complete their level 2 and make a start on their level 3, like their master course. And if people usually have their levels 1 and 2, they'll complete the level 3 or the master course during those 8 days. So yeah, that's kind of how it works. Otherwise, I do run courses in Sydney, but obviously most of us are not from Sydney. So I run all levels of courses in Sydney, like your beginner, your advanced, your master, all that kind of stuff. Just go. If you can ever manage to get a Deep Week in the uni holidays, I'd be there. Josh, you know, I've tried to put Deep Week in university holidays. The only issue is that every university has holidays in different times. So like I've been talking to people and I'm like, oh yeah, if it's between these dates, then I'm all good. And then I set it for those dates. And then they send me a message like, oh, by the way, sorry, actually an exam got scheduled in that time. You know, and universities are hard to play with because their dates are always changing and things like that. And every student's dates are always a little bit different, so they're hard. There will be a Deep Week at the start of December. So I'm assuming, or I'm hoping that's university holidays. Start of December, there will be one Deep Week in Bali and another Deep Week in the Philippines. So that should be good. So you'll be free. Hopefully you'll be free for one of those. Dennis, moving to Brisbane in April, so no chance to join this one, but please book a spot for me in August. No drama, Dennis. Dennis, you're also welcome to, anyone that is contributing more than the $7 amount also can like use their extra, that they're like, you know, their credit to pay for Deep Week as well and things like that. So Dennis, could you please do me a favor, because we've just started to book it out now, and obviously because I just announced it last night, so we're getting a lot of inquiries. Dennis, could you email me to adam.thomas.stern@gmail.com, and then we can book you in there. So that'll be the easiest way to do it for sure. Okay, a few questions. I get it, they're all different. Yeah. 3 kids. Well, look, I understand all your pain. I'm trying to have a kid myself right now, so I think my life is going to change dramatically, and I'll probably line up all my dates with school holidays as soon as my kids are in school. Damo said, what have you said here? Do you have a minimum or optimal level to get to before thinking of Deep Week or any level? No, that's the thing. This is the thing with all courses. I think sometimes people are like, oh, you know, should I take my level 1 course now? Should I take my advanced course now? Should I, you know, or should I come to Deep Week now? Am I ready? And the truth is that no matter what level you're at, yes, Dennis, that is the correct email. Yep. I'm just gonna, oh, that's right. Boo! Smiley face, bang. Whatever level you're at when you go take a course, you'll improve from that level. So it's not a matter of like, oh, am I ready to take this course? Like, you know, look, some people are more advanced freedivers when they go to take their advanced course. Some people are not. Some people take their level 1, 2, and 3 all back to back, and that's fine too. It just means that they will finish that level 3 at a lower level than someone else who had time training in between. So it's not as much about, am I ready for this course? Am I ready for this Deep Week? It's about whatever level you're at, you will make a progression. If the course goes for 2 days, you'll get 2 days worth of development. If the course goes for a month, you'll get a month worth of development. If it goes for a week, you'll get a week worth of development. Does that make sense? It's more like, here is fast-tracked progression. Here is fast-tracked learning. Because when you're off usually training on your own, your progression tends to be a little bit slower. And then you take a course, and like, bang, you go up, and then you go slow again, and then bang, you go up, that kind of a thing. So no, we literally have people coming to Deep Week who have never freedived before. Okay, this is something we've had quite a few times, and you know, it's always very inspiring to see this, but also everyone kind of is like, oh god, that person. We get people coming to Deep Week who've never freedived before, and they finish the week as like solid 30-meter divers, even deeper, 30, 35-meter divers. Because some people, they're just naturals, and no one likes the naturals. So yeah, whenever you are ready to do it, it is ready for you. If that makes sense. Okay, any thoughts on Uddiyana Bandha? Useful, necessary. Okay, Uddiyana Bandha is useful. It is 100% not necessary. Nothing trains you to handle the pressure of the water like the pressure of the water. The best way to develop more flexibility for freediving is just a freedive. In saying that, you will develop more flexibility with Uddiyana Bandha. I just think sometimes I'll often say in my videos or things like that it's unnecessary or that it's not good to do it. And it's only because it's actually very easy to injure yourself with Uddiyana Bandha. It's actually very easy to tear or strain or stress the muscles in like your diaphragm muscle and the muscles in your intercostals by doing it. So all I say is, like, just be very gentle with it. Like, it shouldn't hurt. It shouldn't feel like a strong stretch. It should be nice and gentle, and used more as a warm-up before a dive, as opposed to like, I'm going to go home now and increase my flexibility by doing lots of Uddiyana Bandha. Alright, when you say level 1, 2, and 3, is it PADI levels or SSI levels or your own Deep Week? Alright, so when I say levels 1, 2, and 3, I just mean that every different organization calls all these different things different names. You know, SSI calls them level 1, 2, and 3. PADI calls them freediver, advanced freediver, master freediver. The AIDA call it the 2-star, 3-star, and 4-star. I usually just say level 1, 2, and 3 because I think they're the simplest. I think it's the easiest way to describe them all. That's all. So I just say 1, 2, and 3 for that. Alright guys, I think I am almost ready to skedaddle and go make myself some lunch. Does anyone have any final questions before we wrap up this live stream? And then we'll do this again soon. I would like to make this a regular thing. So let's do final quick questions, and then we will all go on our merry way. Some of us will go back to work, some of us will go to bed, and some of us will do other things, I suppose. Thank you, Damo. Absolute pleasure. Oh, good, guy. I am really happy that this worked out. I think this is a great way to to constantly make sure that everyone is like that no one's got any holes in their knowledge, that everyone is always developing, that no one gets stuck anywhere. So I'm happy that you guys enjoyed it. And if that's all, then I will speak to you guys very soon. And really quick, Oliver, send me a video of you equalizing a few days. And everyone else, if you have any questions at all about anything at any time, shoot me a message, write me an email, whatever the hell you like. You know I always answer your questions. And I'll speak to you guys soon. Thank you so much for coming here and watching the live stream. Now, I'm not actually, this is the first time I've ever done this, so I'm not sure how to end it. So I'm just gonna, there's a button here that says stop streaming. So I'm just gonna wave goodbye and press the stop